Have you ever had one of those mornings where you wake up, but your soul doesn't? Your body moves, your eyes open, you get dressed, maybe you even go to work, but inside, it feels like you're dragging a version of yourself that's running on empty. There's no spark, no direction, just heaviness. You look around, and people seem to be moving forward, living, achieving. And you start wondering, what's wrong with me? Why do I feel like I'm just surviving, not living? Why does everything feel so meaningless? Maybe you've been holding on for longer than anyone knows. Showing up every day with a smile no one questions. Fighting silent battles no one sees. Maybe you've thought about giving up, not in a dramatic way, but in that slow, quiet way where you just stop caring. You're not lazy. You're not weak. You're tired. Tired of trying so hard and still feeling like nothing is changing. But what if you're not at the end? What if this moment where everything feels like it's falling apart, is actually the turning point? What if the life you want, the version of you that feels alive, fulfilled, free, is still possible? And what if it's just waiting, on the other side of not giving up? Let's be honest. You didn't wake up one day and decide to feel lost. Life wore you down. It wasn't one big event. It was the accumulation of small disappointments, silent failures, endless pressure. You were told, work hard, follow the rules, stay strong. So you did. But somewhere along the way, the light started fading. Maybe it started at your job, doing work that doesn't excite you, surrounded by people who don't see you. Or maybe it was the relationships, always giving more than you receive, being strong for everyone else while no one checks on you. Or maybe it was just time, slowly draining your dreams while you were too busy surviving to even notice they were slipping away. And then it happens. You stop dreaming. You stop hoping. You don't even cry about it anymore. You just go numb. The world calls it burnout. But let's call it what it really is. Emotional exhaustion with no safe place to rest. You feel like you've tried everything. You read the books. You watch the videos. You made the plans. But nothing sticks. Nothing seems to bring you back to life. Because most of what's out there tells you to push more, hustle harder, think positive. But when your soul is tired, you don't need motivation, you need meaning. And here's the hard truth. It's not that you're incapable. It's that no one ever taught you how to rebuild when life breaks your spirit quietly, slowly, over years. And now, you're standing at a crossroads. You can either keep going the same way, numbing, pretending, fading. You can pause, breathe, and ask a question that might just change everything. What if I haven't come this far, just to quit now? Let's get something straight. You don't need a 10-year plan. You don't need to fix your whole life. And you definitely don't need to become a brand new person overnight. What you do need is to start differently. Not by pushing harder, but by listening deeper. Not by forcing yourself, but by being honest with yourself. Because the truth is, you're not weak for feeling lost. You're strong for still standing. So what if we stop chasing a perfect version of life and start building one that actually feels real? That starts with one simple mindset shift. Your life doesn't have to look impressive to be meaningful. It just has to be yours. Maybe you've been measuring your worth by the wrong yardstick. By promotions, salaries, number of followers, other people's approval. But what if the real success is just this? Waking up, showing up, and choosing not to give up today. What if healing looks like making your bed, stepping outside, drinking water, texting a friend, not because it fixes everything, but because it tells your soul, I still care. You see, the life you want isn't a sudden breakthrough. It's a series of small, quiet choices. Like choosing not to speak to yourself like an enemy. Like choosing to rest without guilt. Like choosing to believe that even now, especially now, you are still becoming. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to keep moving, imperfectly, inconsistently, but forward. Because the truth no one tells you is this. Progress isn't loud. It's not always inspiring. Sometimes it looks like you crying in your car and still going to work. Sometimes it looks like saying no. Sometimes it's just not quitting, and that's enough. So ask yourself, what is one small thing I can do today that honors who I want to become, even if I don't feel like it yet? Do that. Do it again tomorrow. and watch who you become. Let me tell you about James. James was 38. On paper, he had it together. A stable job, a small apartment, no major crises. But every morning he woke up with a knot in his chest. He would stare at the ceiling and whisper, "Asterisk, is this all there is?" He wasn't depressed in a clinical way. He wasn't in deep crisis. But he was quietly drowning. He stopped calling friends back. Stopped working out. He'd come home, eat whatever was easy, scroll for hours, and go to bed more tired than when he woke up. Every day felt like a copy of the last, not bad enough to collapse, but not meaningful enough to feel alive. One night, something snapped. It wasn't dramatic. He just broke down in his car, in a parking lot, after work. Tears came without words. It was the kind of cry that comes from years of pretending. And in that silence, he asked himself a question he hadn't dared to ask before. Asterisk, what if I don't want this life anymore? But then another voice, quieter, almost a whisper, rose up. Asterisk, what if this isn't the end? What if this is the start? The next morning, James didn't fix his whole life. He just walked around the block before work. Day after that, he cooked himself breakfast, first time in months. Then he started journaling before bed, not deep thoughts, just a few lines. Asterisk, today I showed up. Little by little, his days changed. Not in big ways, but in real ways. He switched jobs 6 months later, not for more money, but for more meaning. He reached out to an old friend. Started volunteering once a week. And slowly, the fog began to lift. Not because life got easier, but because he stopped quitting on himself. James didn't become a millionaire. He didn't write a bestseller. He didn't suddenly have it all together. But he smiled more. He laughed again. He looked in the mirror and didn't feel like a stranger. That's the power of not giving up, not on life, but on yourself. Because sometimes the breakthrough doesn't come with fireworks. It comes in a quiet moment when you decide. Asterisk, I want more than survival, and I believe it's still possible for me. If you've made it this far, that says something about you. It says that deep down, under all the fatigue, confusion, and silence, there's still a part of you that hasn't given up. Not completely. And maybe that part of you is enough to start again. No matter how long you've felt stuck. No matter how many times you've fallen short. No matter how quiet your hope has become, your story isn't over. You don't need perfect clarity. You don't need to feel ready. You just need to choose to keep going even if it's messy, even if it's slow. Because maybe the life you're searching for, the one where you feel alive again, where you wake up with a sense of peace, where you know why you're here, maybe it's not gone. Maybe it's just waiting, right on the other side of this moment. So before you scroll away, before you go back to your day, and ask yourself one last question. What if I try one more time, not to impress anyone, not to chase a fantasy, but simply because I still believe there's more for me? Write it down. Whisper it. Let it be the first step of your return. Because someone out there needs your story, but you need it first. Don't give up. Not now. Not yet. Asterisk, asterisk. Your life is still unfolding. And the best pages might be the ones you're about to write next.